Welcome back to the channel. I'm Luna Celestine. Thank you for taking the time to join me in this quiet space. A space where we reflect on the profound movements of the cosmos and how they shape each of our lives. This time we are entering a particularly significant phase, Mercury retrograde, beginning on March 15. For those of you born under the sign of Leo, this is more than just an astronomical event. It's an invitation to pause, to look inward, to listen to what has yet to be spoken. The energy of this retrograde holds two distinct sides, one of creativity and inspiration, the other a potential source of disruption and emotional turbulence if we're not grounded enough. The question is, which path will you choose? We are now presented with a rare opportunity, an opportunity to reset what once seemed unchangeable, to reevaluate our choices, our journeys, and the relationships that have been shaping our lives. More than that, it's a chance to rewrite the story of your life, not from scratch, but from a new perspective, wiser, more refined, and more conscious. Are you ready to step into that journey? In the next part of this video, I will guide you through the subtle messages Mercury retrograde is sending specifically to Leo, messages not only meant to be understood, but felt and applied in your daily life. Stay tuned. March 15, 2025 marks a pivotal turning point in the astrological current for Leo. With Mercury beginning its retrograde motion and subtle influences from other planetary alignments in your natal chart, this is a time that calls for careful thinking, strategic action, and conscious internal adjustment. For Leo, a sign driven by strong creative energy and a natural desire for self-expression, this period initiates a new cycle of growth, especially in collaborative and group-oriented environments. The positions of Mars and Jupiter during this time are stimulating your professional relationships. If you're working on a long-term project or managing a business venture, this is an ideal moment to re-examine your collaboration strategies, expand your network, and fully leverage human capital. The opportunities born from connection, co-creation, and shared purpose will be key. However, this same period, shaped by Mercury retrograde and Saturn's aspects, also brings a mix of emotional waves, perhaps doubt, frustration, or a subtle sense of discontent. These reactions are not anomalies, they are natural responses as external cosmic currents challenge your internal value systems. Disappointment, if it arises, is not a sign of failure, but a call to reassess what's currently unfolding in your life. What matters is not what makes us feel down, but what remains steadfast, what continues to support us every day. Whether it's family, close friendships, or even seemingly small personal values, these are the anchors that hold spiritual direction. Simultaneously, the influences of Saturn and Venus are carving out a necessary pause. It's a time to slow down, to reassess how you've been using your time, energy, and personal resources. This isn't the moment for hasty pursuits. It's a checkpoint, a moment to ask, is what I'm investing in truly aligned with my long-term path? Patience and self-regulation will be the guiding forces during this period. Let this retrograde be not a disruption, but a recalibration with the essence of Leo. Always drawn to light, always yearning to leave a mark, this current phase is not a call for explosive action, but rather a strategic retreat, a moment to prepare for a more powerful rise in the times ahead. You don't need to do everything all at once, but you do need to focus on the essentials, with clarity, mindfulness, and inner stability. As of March 15, 2025, Leo enters a phase of profound internal transformation, as major planetary alignments offer guidance for restructuring both mindset and life order. The movement of Mercury, along with indirect influences from Saturn and Uranus, initiates a cycle in which Leos are called to reevaluate the way they organize their inner world. From patterns of thinking and perception models to modes of self-expression, you may begin to notice certain thoughts or images repeating themselves, simple geometric forms like squares, triangles, or systems of 3 points forming a balanced structure. These aren't random. In astrology, when the ancient energy of Saturn intersects with Mercury's fluid rhythm, ancestral wisdom tends to resurface in symbolic form. The trivium, logic, rhetoric, and grammar, the three pillars of thought and communication, seem to be knocking at Leo's door, reminding you that clear thinking, strong reasoning, and articulate expression are the foundations of inner freedom. This is a time when you might feel an urge to reorganize your living space, consider relocating, or at the very least reshape your work environment to match the evolving needs of your soul. These changes aren't just material, they mirror an inner shift. The old space no longer resonates with your current frequency, and you may sense this not through clear reasoning, but through a subtle yet persistent feeling that something must change. Simultaneously, under the influence of Neptune and Venus, your intuition becomes sharper and more refined. Emotions that were once buried in the subconscious begin to speak, not loudly, but with a quiet intensity that cannot be ignored. You may feel drawn to write things you've never written, sketch images you never envisioned, or simply sit in silence to sense what your soul longs to express. Creativity is no longer a decorative activity, it becomes a spiritual necessity. Self-expression is no longer about being seen, but about living in alignment with an inner structure that is now being reshaped. This is the moment where Leo may enter a new phase, not flashy or loud, but rich with spiritual depth. And it is in that silence that a new framework begins to take form, clear, solid, and capable of supporting the journey ahead with resilience. The angles between Mercury and Mars, as well as the subtle influence of Uranus, create a heightened sensitivity within your mental space. As a naturally passionate and expressive sign, Leo may feel pulled into situations where spontaneous reactions seem instinctive. Yet during this time, choosing not to react immediately becomes the most powerful act of all. Becoming the observer is a vital lesson in this phase, not to be indifferent or detached, but to create a quiet distance between emotion and action. When harsh words are spoken or when an unexpected situation causes discomfort, try stepping back, not to escape, but to gain clarity. In doing so, reaction gives way to awareness, and the master of your emotions is no longer the outside world, but you. Astrology during this period also emphasizes the role of the Earth sign planets, particularly Venus and Saturn, in helping us rebuild our relationship with the simple, ordinary aspects of life. In the fast-paced current of modern living, we often forget that it is the most humble moments that truly nourish the soul. A quiet morning with a warm cup of coffee, an afternoon spent washing dishes with the gentle sound of running water. These are not merely mundane routines, but sacred opportunities to return to the present moment, to feel the fullness of your presence in your living space. Gratitude does not have to be grand. It can begin with the smallest, most honest things: a nourishing meal, an unhurried afternoon, a loved one still by your side. In astrology, when the slow-moving planets call for stillness and balance, practicing daily gratitude becomes a powerful way to anchor the mind amidst external fluctuations. This isn't a moral prescription, it's a method for tuning your internal frequency, soothing the nervous system, and opening a quiet space for clarity. At the same time, negative emotions, if not properly acknowledged, can become stagnant energies that linger. For Leo, this is a time to be especially mindful of the tendency to hold on to subtle disappointments or quiet sorrows. These feelings, if left unprocessed, can settle deep within like emotional sediment. There is nothing wrong with feeling anger, sadness, or fatigue. The mistake lies in clinging to them, allowing them to become permanent fixtures in your inner world. Acknowledging your emotions is necessary, but then learn to let them go. Not to forget, but to release the old energy and create space for new experiences to emerge. This period doesn't demand grand gestures or bold acts from Leo. What the cosmos asks is a return to your truest essence, to mindfulness, and to a simple, spiritually fulfilling life. If you can do that, not only will you move through Mercury retrograde with ease, but you'll also discover a new depth within yourself. Right now, those under the sign of Leo are standing before an invisible threshold, where inner sensations become more vivid than any spoken word, and awareness goes far beyond what the eyes can see. The subtle planetary dynamics in Leo's astrological chart, especially the interplay between Neptune, Pluto, and Mercury, are awakening a deeper layer of consciousness, not through logic, but through delicate signals that can only be felt with intuition. This is not a distant form of mysticism, but a natural phase in the spiritual evolution of the human being. You may already be sensing it without naming it, a strange feeling when encountering a stranger, an inexplicable intuition in a familiar setting, or a quiet voice within prompting you to pause, to change direction, or to reconsider a decision. These experiences are not meaningless. They are signals, not from others, but from the deepest layers within you, where you remain connected to the rhythm of the cosmos. Leo, as a fire sign, is often oriented outward, driven by the desire to make an impact and assert the self through action. Yet this phase does not move in that usual rhythm. It invites you to turn inward. Not to retreat, but to see more clearly. This kind of seeing is not just about sharp analysis, but about expanded perception, the ability to grasp the hidden meaning behind events. You may find yourself becoming more sensitive to your surroundings, the sound of the wind, a faint noise, a subtle gesture from someone nearby. All of it may begin to feel more significant. This heightened awareness can be overwhelming for some, but if you learn to receive and regulate it, this becomes a powerful opportunity to connect with a higher form of wisdom. Not knowledge from books, but an ancient intelligence already present in your soul, simply waiting to be awakened. When you begin to live with full presence, attuned to the feeling of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your heartbeat when facing a choice, or the slight change in someone's eyes, that is when you are training your deep perception. And from this perception, true messages begin to emerge, not as clear-cut advice, but as a gentle, subtle, yet undeniable inner guidance. What's truly special about this phase is that the less you try to rationalize, the more you begin to understand. Not because things have become simpler, but because the mind has entered a new state of receptivity, a place where there's no need to control everything, only the stillness required to see the essence beneath it all. The universe does not speak in human language. It communicates through feelings, rhythms, and coincidences that may appear random. If you find yourself suddenly paying attention to the little things you used to overlook, it's not a coincidence. It's a sign that your intuition is becoming the true guide on your life journey. And if you learn to trust it, you will find the path ahead illuminated, not because it's easier, but because you finally learn to walk with the eyes of the soul. Within the current astrological flow, Leo is entering a period of profound reorientation. This is a time when plans once considered stable and intentions that seemed firmly set may begin to show signs of shifting. The change may not come in the form of dramatic upheavals. Sometimes it begins quietly, with a sense of disconnection, an unnameable emptiness, or a growing misalignment between who you are now and the path you've been following. As Uranus moves to form strong aspects with the career and personal life axis in Leo's astrological chart, it signals that you can no longer operate in life the same way you did before. What once made sense, what once fit, now feels constraining, not because it was wrong, but because you've outgrown the framework you once created for yourself. If you've recently felt uneasy, a job that no longer inspires you, a role in your family that feels too limiting, or a relationship that's demanding a new approach, these are the first signs of an internal realignment already underway. It's worth noting that the current movements of Mercury and Jupiter are not simply disruptive. They're opening the door to new opportunities, though quietly and sometimes challengingly so. You may not recognize the new direction immediately. Sometimes the path doesn't appear until you step out of the familiar. Change doesn't begin with answers, it begins with questions. And the question now is, what haven't you dared to change simply because it's too familiar? Change does not mean abandoning everything you've built, but it does require a deep honesty with yourself. Honesty about your true feelings, about how fulfilled you really feel, and about how alive you feel in the roles you currently play. And once you've identified what needs adjustment or release, you are already creating space for the new to enter, space for long dormant potentials to awaken. This is a transitional period, not to be rushed, but not to be delayed too long either. The universe doesn't issue commands, but it sends clear signals, and if you are perceptive enough to notice them and brave enough to realign your course, the road ahead will not only open, it will carry a profound sense of fulfillment, not just through achievement, but through the deep resonance of living in harmony with your true flow. When the external rhythm of life begins to shift, that's the moment when your inner world needs to be heard more attentively than ever, because whatever you're trying to bring to life, whether it's an old dream, a forgotten desire, or a new vision of living, it deserves a worthy space to be born into. And this change, however inconvenient or unsettling at first, is likely the very beginning of that. Before closing today's video, I'd like to take a moment to share something from the heart, from my own intention, and from the sense of connection I feel each time you return to this space. I understand that the changes astrology reveals are not always easy to embrace, especially for those born under Leo, a sign known for its courage, pride, and generous heart. The act of pausing, listening, adjusting, and accepting life's redirection can be the greatest challenge, because we're used to moving forward, to standing strong, to being a source of inspiration, but sometimes it is in slowing down, turning inward, and accepting that not everything is within our control that true growth happens. I hope that what I've shared today, from the astrological reflections to the subtle invitations for self-adjustment, openness, and compassion, becomes a small part of your awakening journey. They may be just words, but if they reach even a quiet corner of your soul, then I know I've done something meaningful. If you find yourself standing at a crossroads, if you quietly sense a shift within you that you can't yet name, know that it's all part of a greater process. The universe never leads us astray. It simply guides us toward new landscapes where we must see with different eyes, feel with an open heart, and walk forward with a deeper trust in ourselves. And if, after this video, you take even one quiet minute to reflect on your life, to write a few words in that long-forgotten journal, or simply to breathe a little more slowly in the middle of a busy day, then I believe a connection has been formed between us, not just through a screen, but through a deeper resonance of the spirit. Thank you for listening, for being present, and for walking this path with me. If you found value in what I've shared today, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below. I read each one with care, because you are the inspiration that motivates me to continue bringing deeper insights to this space. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue to expand our understanding of ourselves and the ever-evolving world around us. Wishing you a journey of peace, clarity, and inner strength.